What do you think happens when I got it, don't worry meets but who's got you guy? I never learned to depend on anyone meets I will prove you that you can guy. I hate being a burden meets you're not a burden, you are my priority guy. Oh, and now imagine an elder daughter meeting such a guy. And that's when her heart says, it's a deal. Hello, hello, and welcome everyone to episode 7 on April 7th, that also happens to be my birthday. For most of my life, I've always been excited about my birthdays. The coziness and the warmth of having my favorite people to celebrate me, or exclusively keeping that day to myself, or however I want. Even speaking of it is making me feel fuzzy. I hope by now you all have caught the last episode, Foolishes in New York City, and have an idea of what all it took to meet my type of foolish, my Mr. Imperfect, my guy. I think it was a random afternoon in June 2024, and we were still recovering from Maddie's departure from New York. I was very close to giving up on apps again when I swiped back on him on Coffee Meets Bagel. Well, he was nothing like the guys I'm usually attracted to, but there was something about him. I saw a kindness in his eyes, that subtle smile of his. He seemed like someone who has so much to offer, but people never understood him the right way. And unlike with most of my matches on this app, he actually messaged and we began to talk. He was traveling for work at that time and was supposed to be back in a few months, and we both were fine with that. So it all began while we were in long distance. It felt like it was meant to be. The conversations were just flowing, we started getting on phone calls, and it was not the copy paste stuff like what's your favorite color, cuisine, etc. We were exchanging life stories, bonding over Bollywood trivia, music, travel stories, plans for future, laughing together, sharing jokes, no dirty texting. I mean, it was how it should be. Now, the time difference was a challenge, but we were effortlessly navigating it. We would drop messages for each other while the other person was asleep and respond to each message when we got up the next day. For the first time in my dating experience, the efforts were mutual. It was not just me. He even made efforts to listen and ask questions on season 1 of my podcast to know me better, which had me thinking that he's genuinely interested. In the past, I have been burned so many times, so I was super cautious. But this was some uncommon stuff brewing between him and me. So I began to wonder if I should start to ease. Can I consider this as a safe space? There is a Sufi verse that goes like, "जहर वेख के पीता तो की पीता, इश्क सोच के किता तो की किता, दिल दे के दिल लेन दी लालच करी ओ बुलिया, जे तूने प्यार भी लालच नाल कीता ते की कीता." This translates to, what is the point of drinking poison after analyzing it? And what is the point of falling in love after 1,000 careful calculations? And now, by poison, the poet is referring to the pain that love comes with. And I can go on and on about it, but to keep it short, it means that true love requires selfless devotion, not logical calculations or selfish motives. So, I also gave up. I remember I woke up one morning and it was the most basic message from him, and something moved in me. I was screaming, I love him in my bedroom. So, yes, friends, after 9 long years, I was in love again. But let's not forget that I had to protect my heart as well. I can love him, but it does not mean that I have to say it. So I did not confess my feelings, but I knew it in my heart. It was all happening so fast, but I knew it in my heart that this is real. What I was feeling was real. I think the stars must have been in my favor because after a few days, it was he who confessed his feelings for me. It took me some time to absorb that he also loves me. Like, oh my god, this is actually happening. So, is this the time I say it back? Because I have been feeling it for a while, but not at all expressing it. No point in guessing that I did say it back, and that's how our love story started. I clearly remember that day. I was traveling, and it was nighttime in India and late afternoon in Austin, and quite unusually, after confessing our feelings, we both cried our hearts out. And I felt seen. I felt heard just the way I have been craving for years. So much so that I almost forgot that this has always been the whole point, my safe space. We both were thanking God that we found each other. He called me his blessings from his late grandfather. Emotions were running high, and it was a beautiful evening. One of my favorite Hindi songs has a line, दो अकेले रोए मिलके मिलके दोनों रब के घर में. Those were the vibes. Oof. On numerous occasions, I have shared with you all how convenient it has been for people to find excuses to not be with me because of my past. So, knowing that his family would be okay was a big thing for me because I was dating to marry. So, now this is the tricky part. You have just begun a relationship with someone and you don't want them to feel any pressure that, oh God, she's already thinking 100 steps ahead. But if they are your person, then they should get it. But still, what to do? I come with nuances, and I was scared to bring it up because what if I lose him because of this? Throughout our conversations, he has always come across as someone who is family oriented, emotional, emotionally mature, a giver, just like me, caring, kind, actions are greater than words kind of a guy, and a lot many other things. Even then, I was amazed that while I was playing with this idea in my head, this time I didn't have to ask this family question. He knew it was important for me, and before I could even ask, he informed his parents about me. And after a nice phone call, everyone was on board. I recall asking him, aren't we going too fast? Nope, you are the person for me, and I want to be with you for the rest of my life. I'm sure. And once I am in, I am in. I will be here always, he responded. I had no words, and my happiness had no bounds. I was seeing in his words, in his actions, that just like me, he is all in too. And this is it. This is it. There were dreams that I had forgotten even existed, wishes I forgot I had, and all of those and much more were coming back to the surface. I was really happy, like quite evidently so. Now, I hope you are following and remember that this is all happening while he was in India and I was in the US. But I virtually became a part of his work trip. We were battling sleep, but who was complaining? I got to meet his cousins, his work colleagues from different parts of the world, and at this point, they all knew me, and we were even sending messages for each other. Now, when I love someone, I never shy back. And I loved that he was not shy to tell people about me either. I became a part of his world, and he became a part of mine as I told my friends and HNS about him. He was scheduled to finish his project and come back in August. But life had other plans, and for a sad reason, I had to take an immediate trip to India. But that helped us have our first in person date happen way sooner than we anticipated. I was taking my time to tell my family. and how to tell them, because I cannot emphasize how important it was for them as well. But now it was time, as his family knew it too. And news among Indians spread like wildfire. So I wanted them to know from me rather than someone else. My brother had already sensed the joy from my voice over one phone call, so he was not surprised when I broke the news to my mama and my brother first. They were ecstatic, overjoyed, and all the other expressions that explain very, 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 very happy. Obviously, they asked a lot of questions and were all emotional and over the moon. I remember I was going to pick him up at the airport, and my mama had sent some home cooked food and prasad for him, so that after months of having outside food, he could feel a slight warmth of home. FaceTime had been our biggest friend during our initial months, and it was such pure joy to see each other in person. No awkwardness, nothing. Just seamless, effortless, like a well oiled machine. I took him around Delhi, introduced him to the delicious Delhi food, shopping, and we had our the perfect 2 days. Time was flying by, and I told my papa also, and he had tears. I got the passion for writing from my parents. And after so many years, my dad wrote something for my boyfriend and sang it too. He was sending stuff for my family, and my parents were sending stuff for him and his family. He was shopping for me and my family, and I was shopping for him and his family back in the States. It was all just going so well. We both flew together to the US. We always had a fast pace, but we both were believers that when you know, you know. So it was fine by us. He had started asking me about my dream proposal, and to be honest, I have never thought about it. But now I was. What kind of proposal, what kind of ring? I was thinking all of it. I knew things would be different when we both went back to our real world. He has his family, cousins, friends, and a life of 17 years here. So I was aware of all that. He said it himself, and I'm not stupid either. But a few weeks after coming back, I started noticing things like my gut started telling me that something was off. But what happened next was something that I could not have imagined even in my scariest dream. Well. I did have a scary dream, like exact same scary dream. What I could not imagine was that it would actually come true. Whew, those were a lot of memories to cover in one episode. But the idea is to spread some light through my stories. So in the end, it will all be worth it. At least, I hope so. Well, it's not over yet, and as I gather strength to continue the story in the next episode, please share your stories and tell me how you met your person. Have you been in similar circumstances? For now, as always, I request you to share feedback, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Feel free to reach out if you're intrigued by any of the details that I've ever shared, and I'm more than happy to answer. Until then, it's your host Shefali saying bye bye.